the job builder, and the container builder. But the container builder allows you to, we have a couple different versions, and actually the first version, which I'm going to show you, was based on, and the thought process behind it was, we have a customer who dictates to their vendor what orders they want shipped when, because they direct ship. So their container builder actually generates based on sale. But there is another version that we have available as well that actually, based on sales demand, creates the purchases that are going to be needed to fill a container so that you can place the orders and build a container that way. So I just wanted to show you the basic setup of the container builder, and then I'll show you actually how it works. And so the first thing is, in the container builder itself, at the product level, there are a couple fields. In order for us to generate the container builder, we need to know the weight and the CBM. I think actually one of the variations is cubic feet as well. But it could be weight per piece, weight per package. There's again variations, weight per case. In this case, for this one, we're going to do weight per piece, and we have the CBM per piece. So that's just the setup piece for it, and that's the only thing you really need. So when we come into the container builder itself, to this. Okay. So just to kind of explain what you see. The top half is going to be the container you're creating, and we actually call them plannings, just because, just to be a little different, this is a container you're planning on making, so it made sense to use planning numbers to go along with it. So the top half is the planning, the container that you plan to build. You can see here that you have the ability to select your container size. And we actually have, it seems kind of, even though some of you are in the same industry, it seems kind of that for everybody's containers, the weight and CBM varies a little bit. So you have the ability to tell us what the total weight and CBM per container would be. So you could select your container size. And then down at the bottom here, this bottom half, are all of the available, again, this is based on sales, this one. It shows you all of the SO issued releases and the pre-allocated ventures that are PO issued and waiting to be put into a container. This happens to be sorted by destination. So you can see on the top piece, all the, these are the ones that are blank, but as you get down, you can see here's one destination, here's another destination. But they group them by destination, then by vendor. Over here you have, your quantity product, and then it gives you your values for your weights and your CBMs per venture. How to add the items into the container builder is you just come over here and you put an X, and you just select as many or as little as you want, and then you just hit function F2, and it adds all the items up into the top half. And then it allows you, you see here, it does the math for you. If you put too much in here, it actually will stop you and turn red. And the ability to create the container, the planner, that button disappears. It will not allow you to actually create that planning and to generate that if you're overweight or CBM. So when you've created, done whatever you needed to do, you would hit create new container. And it throws it, and down here at the bottom, I don't think you can see the tab, this is planning number 6. And then in here, this is actually the list of all of the items, the ventures that you're going to put into this specific planning, this specific container. The button's up at the top. If you made a mistake and you wanted to go back, you can click on that, modify container, and it flips you back to the previous screen so you can add, remove, etc. This is actually pretty cool. Create vendor shipping list. If you had more than one vendor, there actually would be a drop down here for you to select what vendor. But what this button does is it creates a document to send to the vendor to say, hey, this is what I want you to ship in this next shipment, or in this next container.
So to summarize the purpose of this container builder, and what was the original intent?
Yeah, that they wanted to be able to dictate to the vendor what they wanted shipped at a certain time within a container. They dictate to the vendor. They don't actually, the vendor never tells them. They say, hey, I want you to ship A, B, and C, and D, and we're going to fill this container, because of course they're paying for the freight. So another variation of this actually is they have a freight table, which is a ship from, a ship to, freight carrier, and the freight amount. So when actually they're ready to update VISCO and they hit this button, it takes them to the next screen so they can select what freight carrier and the freight amount that they want. And then it generates and saves it in VISCO so that when the container goes in transit, the accrual is automatically created for their freight so that they don't have to worry about anything that's already there. But what you do is you click Update VISCO and Close, and it's going to save this planning number, number 6, back to each venture. So I hit yes. And now, whenever you hear back from your vendor, things are on its way. When you go into logistics, into container maintenance, to create your container, down at the bottom, you see your venture scan has a planning number column. And you can see here that you have the ventures, the 3 ventures with planning number 6. So what you could do is use a filter and say, I want planning number 6. Add your filter, and it selects and shows you just, of course, the ones you needed. And then you can do a select all. There's a problem with custom field, but you do a select all and add a container, and it dumps it in so that basically you don't have to recreate the wheel and figure out which ventures you dictated to your customer and things like that. We've actually gotten a little actually, I don't know if we're too crazy, but probably from this point, if you wanted us to create the container, we probably could. It is no feature of this, but at the advances that we've made since this was created, we probably could do that. But that's the container builder. The other variation of this is that we have a customer that pulls in all their SO issued orders, and then they look and see what they need, and based on that, they build a container, hit a button, and it creates the purchase orders for them to send to the vendor, and then it helps them create the container as well. So this, they do their business a little bit differently. The other variation on this is that it could just show you all PO issued, and instead of working based on the sales side. So it's handy if that's how you guys do things.